Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. Representatives from the Paraguay National Police say that they are searching for a group of fugitive gang members this week after they managed to escape from prison using a secret tunnel. According to reports, the incident began at around 2:40 a.m. on December 20th, when National Police were notified of a possible breakout at the Coronel Oviedo Regional Penitentiary. Guards at the prison had discovered that 8 inmates were missing and had captured a 9th as he was attempting to flee as well. Further investigation revealed the source of the security breach: a hole in one of the prisoner bathrooms that led to a tunnel which ran to the prison exercise yard. From there, the inmates would have only needed to jump a single fence to get to freedom. While there's no debate as to whether the tunnel was used by the 8 inmates, how it got there is a different story. Some local media outlets have reported that the hole in the tunnel were dug by the prisoners themselves, while others say it was done by a construction crew that had been brought into the prison. At the current time, this second theory appears to be the more widely believed explanation, with several sources stating that the construction team had been working on an area of the facility that was under renovations. It appears that this was a clever ruse organized by the suspects, as police allegedly had no idea that work had been authorized at the prison at all. Regardless of the exact explanation, officials say that there was clear negligence on the part of prison authorities, as the tunnel obviously wasn't built overnight. As for the 8 fugitives, reports state that they are all members of the same Brazilian criminal organization called the PCC. The gang, whose name translates into English as First Command of the Capital, is based out of Sao Paulo, and its members are said to be active in prisons across Brazil and Paraguay. All of the fugitives are extremely dangerous, and were supposed to be serving lengthy sentences for crimes ranging from aggravated robbery to kidnapping and murder. At the time of this recording, it's unclear just how many of the escaped gang members are still out there. While some reports state that 3 of them have now been captured, it appears that this number might be including the 9th inmate who was caught before making it off of the prison grounds. The situation is still developing. Authorities in the English county of Warwickshire say that they are looking for the culprit behind a brazen and senseless act of vandalism this week, after a man ripped windshield wipers from roughly 50 vehicles in the same neighborhood and also left costly scratch marks. According to reports, the incident took place at around 3:30 a.m. on December 18th in the small village of Dordon, located about 18 miles northeast of Birmingham. Surveillance cameras in the area captured the unknown culprit as he went around to nearly every vehicle parked on Kitwood Avenue and Coppice Drive and ripped their windshield wipers off. On a number of the vehicles, the vandal took things a step further, deliberately scratching the windshields as well. On at least one of the targeted cars, he carved the letters LOL. While the suspect obviously thought he was pretty funny, suffice it to say, none of the victims are laughing. The crime has resulted in thousands of dollars worth of damage, and several people say that their windshields were scratched so badly that the windows will need to be replaced entirely. A couple of the victims who spoke to local media say that it's an extra blow, considering it happened just days before Christmas. At the time of this recording, it appears that the suspect has yet to be identified. Anyone with information about the case is encouraged to reach out to Warwickshire Police. Representatives from the United States' Massachusetts State Police say that a wanted fugitive is finally in custody this week after he allegedly committed a murder and then fled the country more than 3 decades ago. According to reports, the incident began sometime on November 16, 1991, when police in the city of Attleboro were called to the intersection of Dean and Bank Streets with a report of a fight. When they arrived, they found a man, later identified as Ismael Recinos Garcia, lying on the pavement. He was unconscious and was suffering from multiple stab wounds. He was rushed to a local hospital where sadly he later died from his injuries. Though police eventually uncovered evidence linking then 19-year-old Mario Garcia to the crime, by the time an arrest warrant was issued, he was nowhere to be found. For years, investigators searched for Garcia in vain, with little idea where he might be. At the time of the murder, he had links to several different states, but it was also believed that he might have fled back to his native Guatemala. In 2014, police received a credible tip seemingly confirming that he was in Guatemala, and began to focus their search there. The case received a bigger push when in March of 2021, Garcia was added to the Massachusetts State Police's Most Wanted list. Finally, earlier this year, authorities received new information that significantly narrowed their search. They learned that Garcia might be working on a shrimp farm in Iztapa, a coastal municipality roughly 70 miles south of the capital of Guatemala City. Working with the U.S. Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service Overseas Criminal Investigation Unit, Massachusetts State Police were able to put together a ground team in Guatemala, which confirmed Garcia's whereabouts. Police raided the shrimp farm on December 14th, where Garcia was working under an alias. Though he tried to escape by jumping into a body of water at the farm, he was captured and now remains in custody. At the time of this recording, the now 50-year-old fugitive is awaiting extradition back to the United States. Representatives from the Police Service of Northern Ireland say that they are investigating a horrific crime this week after a 32-year-old pregnant woman was found brutally murdered in her own home. The incident began at around 10 p.m. on December 19th, when authorities were called to a residence in the town of Lurgen, located about 25 miles southeast of the capital of Belfast. There, officers found 32-year-old Natalie McNally, who was pronounced dead at the scene. According to reports, Natalie died of multiple stabbing injuries and had wounds to her hands consistent with trying to defend herself from an attacker. Police say that they believe the 32-year-old was killed sometime the day before she was found, and that there were no signs of a break-in at the scene, suggesting that she knew her killer. Sadly, as Natalie was 15 weeks pregnant at the time, the murder also resulted in the death of her unborn child, in what authorities have referred to as a double tragedy. At the time of this recording, few additional details have been provided about the case. However, we know that at least 2 people have been arrested in connection with the killing. The first person, said to be a man in his 30s, was reportedly arrested on suspicion of murder, but has since been released on bail, while the second, said to be a 32-year-old man, is still in custody and is being questioned. At the current time, police have not released any information about the 2 suspects, whether they are connected, or what might have motivated the tragic crime. The situation is still developing. Authorities in Thailand's Krabi province say that a 31-year-old man is looking at some serious prison time this week after he allegedly attacked a police officer who was investigating him for stealing electricity. According to reports, the incident began recently when the Provincial Electricity Authority were tipped off about some janky wiring at a home in the Muang Krabi district. On the afternoon of December 21st, officials accompanied by local police officers went out to investigate and immediately spotted the problem. It turned out that a 31-year-old man, identified only by the name Natapong, had climbed a nearby electrical pole and had dangerously connected a wire to it, running directly into his house. When authorities knocked on Natapong's door, he was uncooperative. Of course, that was likely due to the fact that he was reportedly high on methamphetamine. After the 31-year-old refused to open the door for police, several of them were standing around outside, when out of nowhere, Natapong allegedly launched himself at one of the officers. He then proceeded to bite the officer at least 3 times on one of his arms and shoulders before trying to make a run for it. Unfortunately for Natapong, he was seriously outnumbered, and the other officers that he hadn't sunk his teeth into quickly chased him down and put him under arrest. Even after that, though, authorities allegedly had to tie him up to prevent him from attacking again. Following the arrest, some of Natapong's neighbors reportedly expressed their exasperation with police, saying that the 31-year-old had been terrorizing them for some time and asking why it had taken them so long to do something about it. One man, identified only by the name Wisa, said that he had filed a police report accusing Natapong of attempted murder after he attacked him with a knife. This was apparently back in September, but Wisa claimed authorities had done little about it. Police say that they are now looking into that case once again, in addition to the multiple charges Natapong is facing over this week's incident. In either case, they say that he is looking at some serious prison time. Representatives from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police are allegedly pursuing a bizarre trademark infringement case against a married couple this week after they were recently caught selling obscene stickers featuring one of the police force's beloved mascots. Before we get into the details of the case, it's important to understand something up front. The people of Japan love a good mascot. Though we in the West are fairly familiar with mascots for things like product brands or sports teams, apparently, this is just the tip of the iceberg in Japan. The little characters are used to promote countless things, from festivals to local regions to government organizations, and even buildings like train stations. The particular mascot of interest in today's story, though, is Pippo-kun, a lovable little character who has apparently been used by the Tokyo police for the past 35 years. According to reports, Pippo is a portmanteau of the words people and police, and the name is meant to symbolize the character's role in public outreach. As a result, Pippo-kun regularly appears in PSAs, especially ones targeted towards children. It's for this reason, among others, that authorities apparently didn't take it too kindly when they recently discovered the online business of a local married couple. The couple, described as a man in his 30s and a woman in her 40s, were allegedly selling custom-made unofficial Pippo-kun stickers, which pictured the beloved mascot not being his usual child-friendly self. Several of the stickers reportedly featured Pippo-kun giving the middle finger and were accompanied by catchphrases such as, quote, "imprisonment supreme," and "goodbye police." While loads of people online apparently found the stickers hilarious, us admittedly included, Tokyo police didn't join in on the laughter. Instead, they charged the couple with trademark violation. According to reports, the couple admitted to what they had done in interviews with officers. All that being said, it's unclear what actual penalties the couple are looking at. Apparently, they were selling the stickers for less than $10 a piece, and only made the equivalent of about $600 US total off the whole operation. Authorities in the Indian state of Gujarat say that a police officer is facing murder charges this week after he allegedly killed his wife while she was at work on a crowded bus because he suspected she was having an affair. According to reports, the whole thing began recently when the suspect, a police officer in the state's Surat district named Amrut Ratwa, started to believe that his wife, Manguban, was being unfaithful to him. Deciding he wanted to get back at her, Ratwa reportedly hatched a horrifying revenge plot. The police officer allegedly carried out the plan on December 20th, when he traveled more than 130 miles north to the place where Manguban worked as a bus conductor. As an employee of a state-run transportation company, she was often assigned to work far from home, and her job involved taking fares on buses and assisting passengers with bags. On this particular day, Ratwa allegedly waited at a stop along his wife's bus route before getting onto a bus that he knew she would be on. When he did, he viciously attacked her with a knife, stabbing her multiple times in the neck. Manguban was reportedly dead within a matter of seconds. After the terrifying crime, Ratwa reportedly sat down inside the bus and simply waited for police to arrest him. At the time of this recording, authorities say he has been charged with murder, but that a further investigation is underway. Authorities in the Australian state of New South Wales said that a man is in custody this week and is facing charges following the brutal alleged murder of a 31-year-old woman. The incident began at around 2:30 p.m. on December 18th, when police were called to a home in the West Sydney suburb of Cranebrook. There, they found 31-year-old Danielle Finley Jones, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene. According to reports, the night before, Danielle had gone out for drinks with friends at a pub in Marsden Park, another Sydney suburb about a 20-minute drive east of the crime scene. It was there that she apparently introduced the group to a 33-year-old man named Ashley Gaddy, whom she had recently met through an online dating app. While the details of what happened next are not fully known, police say that they believe that Danielle and Gaddy returned to the Cranebrook property sometime in the early morning hours of December 18th. The residence reportedly belongs to one of Danielle's friends, but she was staying there at the time. Sometime between the pair arriving at the residence and when police were called, Gaddy allegedly murdered Danielle. It's said that Danielle died from severe head injuries. Authorities say that following the brutal crime, Gaddy fled into the Blue Mountains west of Sydney. It was here, following a multi-hour standoff, that he was apparently arrested in the early morning hours of December 20th. Gaddy is now facing murder charges. Friends and family of Danielle say that they are absolutely stunned and crushed by her horrific death. The 31-year-old was a beloved early childhood education teacher and was deeply involved with the Ramsgate RSL football club, where she both played and worked as a coordinator. Those that knew her say that she was a passionate advocate of women's sports and a mentor to younger players. At the same time that heartfelt memories are being shared and tributes are being made to Danielle's life, others are beginning to express their outrage as more information comes out about the man who reportedly took her life. In particular, many now want to know why Gaddy wasn't locked up before. According to reports, the 33-year-old has a disturbing pattern of violent behavior with women that started well before he ever met Danielle. At least 5 women have allegedly taken apprehended violence orders out against him, and in December of 2021, he was convicted of stalking, attacking, and choking a woman. He was spared jail time and given a 2-year community corrections order. Just 6 months later, he was charged with further offenses against another woman, and though that case has yet to go to court, he was given bail, which is why he was out on the streets at the time of Danielle's murder. Domestic violence advocates say that it was a crime that never should have been allowed to happen. At the time of this recording, the situation is still developing, and Gaddy remains in police custody. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a minute to thank our amazing supporters over on Patreon. As many of you are aware, our situation on YouTube always seems to be a bit uncertain, but our patrons help to ensure that we can continue to make content like this long term without having to worry as much about what surprises might be thrown our way. Plus, patrons also get access to 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. If you'd like to help support the channel directly, head over to patreon.com/crimezone to join. You can also find that link in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and take care.